Now, I must admit, after the first hour or so of Liverpool's trip to Nottingham Forest, I was getting ready to lay into Arne Slot and his team in this post-match review. Yes, I accept that this is a really tough game, a tricky away trip to a Nottingham Forest side who are flying at the moment, but it just felt like Liverpool were missing an opportunity to make a statement about the fact that they want to go on and win this league, and they are by far and away the best side in the division. And I also think that, during the game and watching the way it was playing out, I had a little bit of a worry about, so many Arsenal fans have warned Liverpool supporters, haven't they, in recent weeks about the fact that Liverpool's away games across the remainder of the season are very, very difficult. And so didn't bode well in particular, did it, that Liverpool were struggling in this tough test and, they were 1-0 down, they were struggling to create chances, they looked like they could maybe get hit on the counter again. And yet here we are at the end of the game and it's ended in drop points. But weirdly, I'm even more convinced than ever that Liverpool are going to go on and win this title, to be honest. I just think that Liverpool, the last half hour in particular, but the second half in general, I just thought they showed such great spirit. They really turned things around. They were completely dominant in that period, and basically Forest ended up indebted to the goalkeeper, who for me was man of the match, that they didn't end up losing this game. It's the combination of Matt Sells and some brilliant blocks on the line really is the reason that Liverpool don't come away with all 3 points. And kind of interested actually, because I'm hearing the kind of commentary and the post-match punditry there talking about it as if it was almost an even game and Forest fully deserved the point. And I guess you get what you deserve in terms of if you score as many goals as the opposition, you absolutely get what you deserve. So don't want to knock them on that front. That's how football works, and fair play to them absolutely for the performance and in a brilliant atmosphere as well. They made it difficult for Liverpool at times, but then you look at the numbers and you have a real think about how the game played out, and I think they're reflective of the fact that Liverpool, as I say, probably did deserve to win it. I don't think it's controversial to say that, or I'm being too much of maybe a sunshiner or anything like that. I just genuinely believe that was the case. I mean, you look at the numbers from the game overall. Nottingham Forest only create 0.39 expected goals and yet get one. Liverpool 1.95. Nottingham Forest 6 shots to Liverpool's 23. 3 shots on target to Liverpool's 7. And 1 big chance to Liverpool's 4. So you just look at those raw numbers. That shows a dominant Liverpool performance. And as I say, the majority of that came in that last half hour where Liverpool were really good. But I think they just had overall the better of the game, and so can feel maybe a little bit aggrieved that they didn't win it. And I'd say, speaking about that second half and how good Liverpool were, the numbers again really, really emphasise that. Nottingham Forest in the second half create 0.09 expected goals. So Liverpool's so solid in that period, a period where they're kind of trying to push on and get a goal as well and can leave yourself a little bit open. So that's really impressive. They create 1.48 expected goals in that period themselves. The shot count 3-14 in Liverpool's favour. The shots on target count 1-7 in Liverpool's favour, and the big chance count 0 for Nottingham Forest and 3 for Liverpool. So it just shows how good Liverpool were in that second half, as I say, and how dominant they were. And I know, in the post-match reaction to this, there will be kind of some negativity because Liverpool's form has been a bit mixed recently, hasn't it? And it's another draw, another one where you're coming away thinking they haven't got 3 points on board. And I know it will inspire a little bit of doubt, but I want to say, looking at it, you see tonight City and Chelsea both drop points. They both draw their games in games that if you're a title contender you should be winning. And I guess the main worry for a lot of people will be Arsenal. But again, look at the week they've just had. Look at the performances they're putting in. Look at the injuries they've got to Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Jesus. They're in a little bit of trouble at the moment. And for them to put a big winning run together, it just is hard to imagine. And so I think we've got to kind of reconfigure our expectations around the season, really. And for me, I don't think I'm watching a 90-plus point Liverpool team, but I also think that the other teams who are in the title race are not 90-plus point teams either. This is not like being up against Pep Guardiola's peak Manchester City, where you have to win every game and you can't afford to drop points anywhere. I'm seeing still some kind of reactions as if that is the case and that Liverpool are definitely going to get drawn in, but I just don't think the teams around them are capable of doing that, and I think it's going to be a lower winning tally for the Premier League this season. And if that happens, it means that you have to maybe become a little bit more accepting of the fact that you are going to drop more points, and that draws are going to happen and they're not the end of the world. As I say, I still think, you look at Liverpool's position, as I say, City and Chelsea dropping points. For me, they're nowhere near it. But they're already the 6 clear of Forest, who are next best, and they've got a game in hand on Forest, and they've just held them to a draw, so kept them at arm's length. And also 7 clear of Arsenal, who, yes, they can close it to 4 tomorrow when they face Tottenham, but of course Liverpool would then have a game in hand. So for me, like I say, I'm not just kind of making excuses. I genuinely do think we have to reconfigure our expectations around this season and what it's going to take to win it. And for me, if you do that, then a point away to third place or second place now, Nottingham Forest, away from home, it is not a bad result at all, particularly when it means that Liverpool have still got that really nice cushion at the top. Yes, you wanted to get out of this little funk that they're in at the moment, but if this is their dip in the season, then and they can have a strong finish where they can put the wins together as they did in the first part of the season, they have no doubts whatsoever really that Liverpool are going to win this title. And as I say, on the basis of that second half performance against a really tough side to face, they were so dominant. It's just convinced me even more really that Liverpool are going to get on a run again, and that the fine margins will maybe fall in their favour a little bit more in the coming games. And then if you put a winning run together, I just don't think anyone's going to cope with Liverpool, because I just think there's too many flaws in the sides around them. Even if Liverpool are not quite the perfection that we've seen in recent seasons, they're still easily good enough to win this league, and I still massively favour them to do that. Now, a few reflections from the game as a whole really. I want to kind of talk about the fact that the second half was so much better, and there were good reasons for that really, in that maybe the start of the half wasn't perfect. Liverpool not giving very much up to Nottingham Forest, but still looking like they might struggle to score. But then I thought the tweaks that Slot made, the substitutions he made, really changed things in Liverpool's favour, made them a much more dangerous side. The first of those is putting Ryan Gravenberch in at centre half. I thought it was a really smart move. I know maybe part of that is kind of wanting to protect Konate, having sort of relatively recently come back from injury, and you want to be careful with him, don't you? But I also think Slot acknowledges that it does something for Liverpool when you move Gravenberch back there, which is to give you the ability to move the ball out from the back much easier. So you saw quite a lot that because Nottingham Forest was sitting off and they wanted to let Liverpool have the ball, Konate was ending up with the ball and trying to dribble through and looking a bit clumsy at times. And if he gets dispossessed there, it's a real problem for Liverpool. But if you put Gravenberch back there, who is much more comfortable in possession, much more dangerous and much more rangy with his passing, and a very good dribbler to boot, it just gave Liverpool that extra threat coming from the back, that extra man in possession who could make something happen. And I thought it was a genius move, really worked. And Gravenberch, to his credit, looked so comfortable in the defensive aspects as well. So I thought it was a really smart move. That was a big part of Liverpool being much more dominant in that last half an hour or so. And you also have to give Slot credit as well to those 2 substitutions he made, Tsimikas and Jota, combining for the goal with their first touches after coming on as substitute. That it doesn't really get much better than that, does it, for a manager? It's absolutely perfect. And I think we've seen time and time again from Arne Slot, really, his in-game management is absolutely top class. It's been a real feature of his first season at Liverpool, and yet again it's another important moment for him in terms of making changes to the game and them absolutely coming off. And Liverpool, as I say, the changes were so good that they were unfortunate not to win it. And one more point on the manager as well, actually, I want to mention the fact that Liverpool scored from a set piece today. I mean, I wrote a piece earlier in the season about the fact that they were no longer they had postponed the search for a set piece coach, on the basis that they thought that the team that they could do it amongst themselves. It was working well early in the season, but it's been a while since they've actually scored one. So really good to see that change, and to change in a really important moment as well. So hopefully they can keep that going and get a few more set piece goals, because they almost feel like freebies when they pop up, don't they? So really important to get a few more of those, and hopefully that's the start of a little run. Now I'm talking about the substitutions and the changes that Slot made. Obviously, a key part of that is Diogo Jota coming on, and I just thought he added so much threat. I mean, he's on the pitch for 24 minutes and he takes 4 shots. Only Mo Salah takes more in the entire game. Salah with 6, and the fact he can do that in such a small period on the pitch, it just shows what threat he brings. He generates 0.85 expected goals for himself, which is more than any other player on the pitch. He completes 2 dribbles, which again, he's joint top in terms of that. And he's only there for 24 minutes. He's just he's an unbelievable attacker that adds incredible threat, I think, to Liverpool's forward line, and he's just very important. And I think it's interesting really to contrast his performance with Diaz, who I thought, that role has worked for him a few times this season. We saw, think about Leverkusen game, the Man City game, the Real Madrid game. That false nine role has really worked for Liverpool. But I think teams are starting to work it out and what Diaz's weaknesses in that role are. And it just didn't work for him today. I thought he had a poor performance. And I think if you want his pressing and you want the fact that he's such a hard worker, you maybe have to make that tough choice between him and Gakpo on the left, because for me, Diogo Jota's got to. Now he's fit and he's ready to play 90 minutes over and over. He has to start games for me. So I'd like to see that from the manager, to be honest. And as I say, as good a substitute performance as that was, should Jota have been in the starting 11? For me, yes, but do let me know what you think about that. Now, in terms of other talking points, I'm not seeing a lot of praise for Alexis McAllister for his performance in this one, but I thought he was very good in terms of, particularly again in that second half, in terms of keeping Liverpool on the front foot, using the ball, stretching Nottingham Forest, moving them side to side, but also the combative elements as well in terms of stopping counters, slowing the opposition down. I mean, he wins 6 out of 11 duels, 3 out of 4 tackles, really good defensive numbers, but he also completes 85% of his passes to keep Liverpool on top, creates 2 chances as well. I just really liked his performance, and I think he's a really good kind of all-rounder in that midfield and played a big role in the win today. And I also want to talk a little bit about Ryan Gravenberch as well, because I've touched on him earlier, and his numbers aren't massively impressive, but I just love the maturity of his performance, and you could kind of, you watch it with the eye test and you can just see how good he was. He really stepped into that centre-back role just seamlessly, and for a young player to do that and to be as impressive as he was is pretty special, but we know he is, so it's, a real praise to him, I think, for his performance today, and a big part of why Liverpool do get something out of the game. And I know some people will be screaming at me to maybe mention Mohamed Salah and the fact he didn't have a great performance, but he still gets 6 shots off. I'm pretty sure on another day one of those goes in. He's maybe just in one of those games where the luck's not with him or whatever, and the fact is, the rate he's scored and assisted this season, he is the reason that Liverpool are where they are in all competitions. So I'm never going to really criticise Mohamed Salah too much for a rare off night for him. I'd be interested to, in terms of other small negatives as well, interested to hear your thoughts on the Robertson performance. For me, it was another poor one. Again, the numbers don't really reflect it. It didn't really seem like it was the kind of poor performance I expected from him in terms of, Anthony Elanga just completely tearing into shreds or anything like that. It wasn't really like that, because Forest, as I showed, the numbers, show that they didn't really have that much attacking emphasis. They didn't have that many opportunities for counters. Liverpool generally, outside of that 8th minute goal, really managed that brilliantly well. But I thought what Robertson was bringing on the ball was really poor today, which is kind of unusual for him. His crossing wasn't there. He just didn't seem to be able to help Liverpool find any threat in attack. And he's always a willing runner on the overlap, but I just didn't think it happened for him today. And I still think it's just a clear weakness in this team, isn't it, at the moment? The one area for me where you could say if Liverpool bought someone in January, it would immediately improve them. And I just wonder, are Liverpool going to do it? Are they going to bite the bullet? Are they going to push the boat out and make that happen? We'll have to see what they do about that, but I don't expect it. But for me, it's the one area I think if they sign someone tomorrow, I would say left back is the area that I would like them to do it, but we'll see what happens on that front. Now, anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there, and I know there will be some disappointment, as I say, around this result. It's another game that Liverpool don't win, but as I say, I can't emphasise enough the fact that this is probably going to be a lower Premier League's winning points total than we are used to, and so a point away to the team who are currently second, who are flying at the moment, who hadn't lost for a long time. I think 7 games won on the spin, in a huge atmosphere, which you always expect in these Forest Liverpool games. I don't think it's the worst result in the world, and I think sometimes the fine margins, they all seem to go for Liverpool at the start of this season, and at the moment it just feels like, as I say, Forest barely create anything, and yet Wood puts away that one chance he gets. It's just frustrating, but as I say, Liverpool, yes, they need to get on a winning run as soon as possible, and they need to kind of get this little blip out of the system, but as I say, if this is the blip, then it really isn't too bad for Liverpool. They've still got a huge lead at the top of the Premier League. They're still top of the Champions League. And if they back this one up with 3 points against Brentford at the weekend, I think we can all forget about this blip, move on from it, and hope that Liverpool then get on the winning run. But anyway, interested to know what you guys think. Do let me know your thoughts on the performance in the comments. Always interested to hear those. And if you can like and subscribe, always massively appreciated. But I'm going to wrap it up there, and I'll say see you guys very soon.